Hey everyone, my name is Garrett and welcome back to SOAR. Now before we go out and actually mate in our X-Class drone, I want to talk to you guys about a few updates that we had and also the components that are going to go into our drone. One of the major changes that we made to our X-Class drone build is actually the motor mount. What I have here is a V1 motor mount. It is printed out of PLA and is not very strong and a little bit bulky. What we decided to do is actually change over to carbon plates that would sandwich the arm like this using bolts that screw through. We would attach the motor on top like this, and this would provide a lot more rigidity in the motor mount and also be a lot sleeker. Now we're going to jump right into the powertrain of our X-Class drone build, starting with the motors. We are going to be using the Team Von Drone 400 kV X-Class drone motors. For our battery, we're going to be using a 5000 milliamp 6S battery pack with an XT90 connector on it. For our ESCs, we're going to be using the B-Rotor BS80 80 amp ESCs with a 1000 microfarad capacitor attached to each of the ESCs. For our power harness, we're going to be using this one right here. It has bullet connectors on one end, which will connect to our motors, and an XT90 connector on the other. It also has a 5-volt connector that we're going to connect to our BEC. Now this BEC here we cannot use because it only runs up to a 3-cell LiPo, but we will be getting a better one this week. For the smaller electronics, we're going to be using the parts I have laid out here in front of me. For the LEDs, we're going to be using the Tiny LEDs X-Class LED. For the VTX, we're going to be using the Race Day Quads Mach 2 VTX. For the receiver, we're going to be using a XM Plus. And for the flight controller, we're going to be using a Helio Spring flight controller running Butterflight. Now, I don't know if there is anyone out there running Butterflight on an X-Class build yet, but we want to try it out and see what happens. So that wraps up all of our components that are going to be going into our build. All we got to do now is install them into our X-Class frame and take it out for a maiden flight.